Okay, so tonight we are having spaghetti with meatballs in a tomato sauce. Nice simple dish. First thing to start with is the meatballs. So to make meatballs, I have some panko crumbs, milk. I'm using ground pork, but you could also use ground beef. I'm using shallots, but onions are just as fine. Some parsley, nutmeg, pepper, and salt. So the first thing to start with, get your panko crumbs in the bowl and soak it in the milk. This should only take a minute or so, just until the panko soaks up the milk. That's it. Next, add your ground meat.
Continue.
So I've added the ground meat, my shallots, parsley, which I picked fresh today, and nutmeg. Some pepper, a pinch of salt, and then you're going to mix all of this together. Now, what the breadcrumbs do in this dish, they absorb moisture and they make the meatballs nice and tender. So once you've got that mixed together quite well, then you start forming them into meatballs. So I'm going to grab my tray, a portion like this, and make a nice meatball. You can pause it. Now that we've got our meatballs done, I like to cook mine in the oven. So I use a 350 degree oven or 325 convection. Some people cook it in a frying pan. I just find it much easier in the oven. And what you're looking for is a nice golden color all the way around your meatball. So while they're cooking, I'm going to move on to my sauce. So for my sauce, I've got celery, I've got onion, I've got Italian plum tomatoes, tomato paste, and some Italian seasoning. So the first thing is to saute my onions and celery. This will take 1 to 2 minutes.
On.
Okay, my vegetables are sauteed. So next I'm going to grab my tomatoes. Waste not, want not. And a couple tablespoons of tomato paste. I find buying tomato paste in the tube is better, because then you're not opening a whole can and trying to figure out what to do with the rest of the can. Next, because these are whole tomatoes, I like to smash them with the potato masher. And that gives it a rustica style. So rather than a tomato sauce, I'm using whole tomatoes. Next, I add my Italian seasoning. I happen to make my own, but you can use store-bought, or you can look for recipes on the internet. Pepper. And again, a pinch of salt. Now I turn it down to a simmer. And I let the tomatoes cook out so that they don't have this strong tomatoey flavor. They have a nice mellow, sweet flavor. Now, one thing I did forget
On.
is a teaspoon of sugar. And I use organic sugar. This is very common in any kind of tomato pasta mixes.
On.
So I would cook my tomato sauce for approximately an hour, but as you can see, I'm waiting for my meatballs to brown. As soon as they brown on all sides, I will add them to my meat sauce so they can pick up flavor, and the tomato sauce also picks up the flavor of the meat. So then, once all that's done, so let's say it takes an hour and a half, we move on to our pasta. Use whatever your favorite choice is for a long pasta. Tonight I'm using spaghetti. You could use linguine, etc. The biggest thing with your pasta water, the Italians will tell you it must taste like the ocean. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoy this.